tuning into the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show with your host, Michael Carvelis.
Welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. This is Daily Dive. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis, per usual. As always, it is December 22nd, 2023, and here in Georgia on the East Coast, home of the Swarm, who are 1-1, and tonight travel to Colorado to take on the Mammoth, who are without everybody and my sister. We are live here on 12 Ounce Sports, 12, the letter OZ Sports, and for the first time ever and moving forward, we should be live on Instagram right now, so I'm very excited for that. If you're tuning on the Instagram page, we thank you, we welcome you to Daily Dive Lax. Remember 12 Ounce Sports, everywhere else, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, even Twitch, if you're into that kind of thing. I'm personally not, but whatever, 12 Ounce Sports, you get it. On today's show, I'm going to start off with a little plug here that I think is a very interesting thing for the league. We're going to also get to Adam Levy for our Adam Levy Friday segment. He is very generous with his time. And later on, we'll have Hutton Jackson to break down the same games Adam Levy does, but from a betting perspective. So this should be fun. We're excited. We're ready to get going. Let's get started. I want to first start today's show by saying we get emails because you can subscribe to the newsletter for the Lax Metrics website. And I just want to plug that it's something I love it. I think analytics has a place in sports. I don't know how big the play should be, what percentage it should be, but I just want to plug LaxMetrics.com is having a new premium service come out. And the owner of that, of course, Cooper Perkins, who's been on the show before, mentions the site will still be 100% free, but he says this will be for super advanced stuff, like if you want to search up something, etc. He's teased the announcement on the show, and now it's coming into fruition this New Year's, etc. So LaxMetrics.com, wanted to plug that in there because we like the stats. It's good to see data. It's good to see that stuff grow, no matter who's doing it. So we're very excited for that. Again, LaxMetrics.com. We want to shout out Cooper Perkins for that, and he's doing a great job. When I come back, though, let's just get right into it. It is Friday, and this show looks so much better with Adam Levy standing by. So we're going to take our first break here to get you guys warmed up. When we come back, Adam Levy Fridays begins on Twin Sports and our Instagram. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 12OZ and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
As Rebecca Black once said, it's Friday. You ever heard that song, Adam Levy?
Did I hear it? I was playing that on repeat for a long time, both privately and publicly. Not afraid to admit it.
That's right. it got catchy after a while. She actually did some more music afterwards, but no one cared, which is sad.
Yeah.
But we care about Adam Levy Fridays. Adam Levy, welcome back. We're live on the only Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. Thank you so much for being generous with your time, sir.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I couldn't be here last week. Things come up family-wise, and so I do apologize for that. Very excited to be back, though. A short week in the NLL, but before we get started, Mike, it is the holiday season, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a gift for you. I know that this is a bit of a surprise. I got you a coupon for Better Takes.
You know what?
So
you had me a coupon.
Yes. Yeah, I think it will be valuable for you in the future, especially in the new year. So I will send that to you. Just give me your address, and then we'll get that going.
You know, you think I'm not going to send you my address? I would totally put that on this wall back here. You better not threaten me. I love that though.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Good.
Who wants to pay for the postage on that? Anyways, I do want to mention that I'm speaking of family, and he may have had something to do with this. Preston's Picks is alive and well. And I just want to say, officepooljunkie.com. I just searched Preston's Picks NLL, and I found it. That's how I joined. I know you have shown the website on your Twitter account, but tell us more about Preston's Picks, because you mentioned on that Twitter page of yours that you asked a certain coach about Preston's Picks. How'd that go?
It went very well. It went really good. Yeah, I was sitting in on the Nighthawks presser earlier this week, and I was talking to head coach Mike Hazen, and I had just done Preston's Picks with Preston, and Preston, for the first time this season, picked the Rochester Nighthawks to win this week, along with the Toronto Rock and the Georgia Swarm. And so I just asked him if he thought that Preston picking the Nighthawks was going to be a motivating factor for the team in their effort against the Vancouver Warriors this weekend. And he said 100%, and then doubled down and said 100% again, although he made it very clear to note that he knew that Preston picked against them in previous weeks. And so, Preston better be careful. We try and tell him that this is a dangerous business. It's so, but he's doing great so far. He's 7 for 7 on the year, I believe it is. And it's a great thing. It's a lot of fun. I really got inspired by Jake Elliott's Who You Got, which is also something you should participate in on Office Pool Junkie. It's very cool, inspired by that. But last year, I just wanted to incorporate Preston and my family into the things that I was doing in lacrosse, because it does take up so much of my time. And Preston loves the game, loves the sport. And so he goes up and we film him making his picks, holding him accountable, not just saying, oh, Preston picked that. And so he does it, and he seems to have a lot of fun with it. And we're learning a lot about him as we do it. He loves the teams with birds in it. So, that's been helpful for them. So, yeah, it's fun. So if you haven't signed up, go to Office Pool Junkie, search for Preston's Picks and do it. I can say that there's been growth week over week, and this week will be the most participants we've had so far this season. So keep participating. And one of the coolest things about it is that you can win awesome prizes. Last week's winner, Josh Mills, is going to be receiving a mini Bandits championship banner that is signed by the entire team. Also, signed balls have gone out to people. Eddie Tabone got a signed Matt Vince lacrosse ball, which one day will be incredibly valuable. So
darn
a lot
it.
of prizes. And I have to say that I'm so grateful to all the teams who have contacted me and worked with me to give me all these cool prizes to give out to fans, because we all want to grow the game. We want people to be engaged. And so it's been great working with all the teams on that.
Wow. I'm getting I'm like definitely, I was invested. This is my second week doing it, and I'm like fully invested hearing about the Matt Vince thing. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's awesome.
I'm excited. Like one day when we see Preston get older, I want to see how his accuracy compares to when he just birds. I'm gonna love seeing if he's worse or better. This will be great.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, here with Adam Levy on Adam Levy Fridays here on 12 on Sports on Daily Dive, as well as our Instagram page. Let's get to last week's games. The Bandits defeated the Seals in front of 17,200 people. Electric environment, in my opinion. Buffalo, if that team had showed up against Albany, might have beat them too. Although hindsight's 2020, but man, How did Buffalo look to you? I thought also Chris Origlio, I want to give him credit for 20-year-old in Buffalo. I thought held his own pretty nicely.
Yeah, I'm very high on Origlieri. I did write a feature piece on him for NLL.com before the season started. I had an amazing summer with Orangeville, working with Nick Rose and Rylan Hartley of the Nighthawks, who is his brother-in-law. So it's very cool to see him growing. And yeah, only 21, is it? 21 years old, I think it is. Yeah. So,
20,
he's doing great. But yeah, the Bandits, it's so funny. And I feel the heat every weekend or every Monday in the power rankings when people go, oh, this team, that team, how are they so low? I just want to say about the power rankings that if you watch the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, whatever it is, they don't start fresh. This is not something like, oh, this team has a better record and so they should be at the top. That's what the standings are for. We're trying to determine, based on what we see and what's on paper, who is the best and the strongest team in the National Lacrosse League. And while it was a tremendous win for the Albany Firewolves that past week, what we saw against the Seals for the Buffalo Bandits was more of what we expected. And it is so common and natural for teams to adjust after a prolonged period off, especially when you've got injuries on the back end, like the Bandits do. And look, Matt Vince, he's a legend through and through. He's allowed to have a bad game. Things come together over time. And so, when people want teams to be so much higher, it's a steady progression. Making these large jumps here and there, it shows that you're being too reactive. It's like the armchair quarterback saying like, hey, oh my God, this happened. Like, that's the craziest thing. And then you're like, oh, well, they must be the best. No, it just means that they were better on this day and we'll see how things unfold. And so let's not jump to conclusions. But the Bandits were great, especially in that second half. It's what you expected of them. Banditland, one of the best places, as producer Joe knows, to watch a game. So it was just great to see.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, I love how because Teddy Jenner does the burning take thing on the NLL page, and you guys are both saying, "Don't come at me, bro." I'm like, bro, this is Daily Dive. We ain't got to worry about all that. We're
well.
Good
Also,
here.
let me interject quickly. People, go for it. Let me hear how irrationally you're thinking. I want to know how many people are out there that just can't get it right in their head about what is going on with the power rankings. It makes me feel a little bit like, oh man, we need to work as a society. But at the same time, it gives me hope that we can teach everyone what is a more strategic and thought out and thorough method to come up with solutions. And so that's my pitch. So I love the Heat. The first couple weeks I did it last year, I was really nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, this hurts so much. And then I just thought it was funny. So it's great. I love doing it.
So where's my coupon again? Okay. One other thing I want to get to about last week is Kurt Malosky got his first win in Vancouver, as Vancouver routed the Georgia Swarm, who looked hot in their first game, but traveled to Vancouver. I believe it was the second longest travel in the NLL this season, so that was a big deal. But what is your take on the Warriors? Because even with the travel, which I'm going to get to a lot today, I felt like the Warriors just looked a lot more cohesive and together. What was your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, the Warriors looked like the team that are closer to the team that Kurt Malosky wants them to look like. Now, a lot of things came together. Aaron Bold had a phenomenal game. The offense looked really good. The defense was really good. Everything was flowing. And what was most important, and when we talk about a full 60 minutes, is that the way that they played in the first quarter was not that far removed from the way that they played in the fourth quarter. And that's what every coach wants from their team. They want a full 60 minutes. They don't want lapses where they'll let in like 5 or 6 goals in a quarter, because that can totally rattle you. So it was a great win. And statistically speaking, was their largest home win in the history of the Vancouver Warriors, which started in the 2018-2019 season. Of course, before that, they were the Vancouver Stealth, so I'm not including those days. But yeah, in the last 5 seasons, it was the largest home victory that they've had, and it was one of the few times in their history since moving to downtown Vancouver that they had 15-plus goals. So everything really looked great. And, when the coaches and GMs, there were a lot of things that people think they got wrong, but they said Vancouver's the turnaround team of the year. Well, if they play more like they did in that game, it's hard to argue with that.
All of a sudden, all you guys look good. That said that. Okay, so let's get into our first game. It's tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern. Toronto Rock in Panther City / Fort Worth, Texas, to play the Panther City Lacrosse Club. Still without Tom Schreiber. Wish we had more info on that, but that's okay. This Rock team looked pretty good against a more healthy Wings team at that point. What is your take on this game initially? Just what is your initial thoughts on it?
Well, I haven't necessarily thoroughly combed the transactions list, but I also think, excuse me, that they're without Chris Corbeil again as well on the defensive end. Unless that gets updated today. There hasn't been an update for a few days on the transactions list, so we might get some more information there. In regards to the game, I mean, I see our rankings. I've seen a lot of them across the NLL. Rocker, as we expected, they're one of the great teams, and they dominated Philadelphia. Sure, it was a little bit of a banged up Philadelphia, but they did great, and they're as deep and balanced as you want them to be. And unlike the Bandits, who maybe had a little bit of a hiccup to start the season, the Rock didn't have that. Mark Matthews, I know I said that I wouldn't be surprised if he needed time to adjust. Well, guess what? He didn't, and that's what you thought. So, if they keep rolling like they're rolling and they get healthy, I mean, it could really be the year, that they really put everything together. And, it's been since 2011 since they won their last championship. So the people of the Hamilton and Toronto area really would love a championship.
I'm sure. So coming to this game, a lot of people are kind of down on Panther City. I know the Panther City Lacrosse Club just put out a tweet with Tracy Kolofsky saying it's no longer us versus the world. People are telling us we're not good enough, blah, blah. But a lot of people are also up on Toronto, like you said. Mm-hmm. What side are you on more of that? How do you see these two teams playing out? Because they've never played each other before.
Yeah, I think that so in regards, it's also interesting when you think of travel. Definitely a weird travel here. I've heard from so many different people about what it's like to get to the Fort Worth area, that it can, because you fly into Dallas, but then you got to travel a little bit. And, for some people who are not going from Toronto, they'll have a connecting flight, and it can be exhausting to do that. And so, how does that affect the Toronto team? They're a bunch of veteran professionals for the most part. So I'm not really too concerned about that. I think the Panther City, I don't think that we've, everyone has talked about the changes that they've had offensively and some things that have happened, and things are different. So, they are still a young team, but I think that they proved last year and over this last few years that they are, I think, a team that they're not the newcomers anymore, that, they're a team that really needs to compete every week. And I hope that they can do that with their new look squad. But I think that Toronto just is going to pull this one out. And I'm just concerned that it might be a few goal minimum margin of victory.
Whoa, Adam Levy said it first over here with the Heat. Which player Panther City needs to step up? Is it Nick Demude, or is it one of the offensive players that you would like to see if Panther City has a shot in this game?
So I think that Nick Demude has been, pretty decent. He's still a young guy, still trying to prove himself. I really like what he does. I think that, it's interesting because I think I had even tweeted out about Callum Crawford and his goal streak and how he started so far. And it's good to see that. You want to see that out of your veterans. However, one thing you also want to see is you want to see a little bit more balance, and you want to see those young guys get more opportunities maybe. So while it's good to see Callum Crawford finishing, no other player on the team other than Jonathan Donville, who has 3 goals, has more than 2 goals this season. So, that's kind of a big thing. And then if you look at shots on goal, Callum Crawford pretty much 10 more shots on goal than anyone else on the team as well. So maybe getting the ball out of Crawford's stick, I'm not saying is the way necessarily for victory, But when you're dealing with young guys, especially newer guys to the team, you want them to get more touches. You want them to get comfortable in the system and with the ball. And so allowing them to have those opportunities is really valuable. And I think that, although they're not playing this weekend, that's why in the beginning of the season, I said, watch out for Alex Simmons and Ty Kurtz, because they had their feet to the fire in a system where they had to be the role models, the players with the ball producing, and look at how that's worked for them and how they're helping their teammates because of it. So giving those guys, the whole team, a chance to adjust, I think that's the strategy.
Love it. Tonight, as this game is starting, probably around halftime, maybe 9:00 Eastern, is the Swarm and the Mammoth. Swarmer once again traveling, so they've been to Georgia, Vancouver, now back down to Colorado. And Colorado's kind of decimated right now in terms of roster construction, but assuming Dylan Ward doesn't play, is the heavy travel for Georgia enough to keep this a one-score game, considering Coach Cuomo during halftime said, we look sluggish, and that never changed in the second half against Vancouver?
So I think that if you look at the injuries, and I know Connor Robinson is questionable, Zed Williams, who is not appealing his suspension for the brawl in the Georgia game, is out. If Dylan Ward's not there, I mean, look, they only put up 10 goals in the first game, and now they've got potentially so many offensive guys out, and they already had a ton of defensive guys out. So I love, if there's only a couple of coaches where I can say, like, man, if there's a guy that can really pump up his club and get them to do something extraordinary on any given night, Pat Coyle of the Colorado Mammoth would be one of those guys. He was one of the first people I really got to know in the National Lacrosse League when I was the beat writer for the Mammoth about 6-7 years ago for a couple years. And he's always going to say it like it is. He's going to let you know how he's feeling, and he does that in the locker room. He has high expectations, and it doesn't matter the injuries that they have. He wants the other guys to step up and make it happen. And losing another game with these unified standings and seeing other teams move on up, he's not going to want his team to fall back too much, because, you're also missing Joey Capito. You're still going to be missing Ryan Lee. Something's got to give. You can't just say, oh, we got these injuries, so no one's going to step up. Someone's got to step up. The question is, who's going to do that?
Amen. And I have a question to piggyback on the rest of those guys. Connor Kelly, short-term holdout list. Which offensive weapon benefits the most? And have you heard anything about Connor Kelly and what that situation?
I haven't heard anything other than you guys have been hearing about the short-term list. But yeah, I mean, he's another one of those guys, like you have him come in and you think, we saw what he did last year, really productive. Like, if there was a way to get him to be playing every week, he could be that spark plug. We saw it, when guys like, Eli McLaughlin and others kind of joined in and made things work. And it was, they have the weapons potentially to be very, very dangerous offensively. And we've seen it later in the season, and we've seen it in the postseason. Let's not forget, they made it to the NLL finals the last 2 seasons against the Bandits. So they know how to win the big games. It's just, how do they overcome that right now? And having Connor Kelly potentially be a big piece of that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I think he had like 5 or 6 points in the first game they played against the same Swarm team.
Right.
Speaking of that Swarm team, Lyle Thompson is like LeBron James. Sometimes you have like the others who have to step up for a great player to be successful. And it's not a knock on Lyle Thompson. It's just like, come on, who's going to help him out here? So if you're Lyle Thompson, who are you expecting in this game that's got to have a big day? We got to go into Colorado despite a decimated roster. Who has to step up minus Lyle Thompson?
So let me first say, because I do remember I did see this part of the show where you were maybe giving Lyle a bit of a tough time after his 2 goals and 2 assists. I mean, he had an amazing first game, yeah. But and he's great, but like 2 goals and 2 assists is still pretty good. And I was doing the simple arithmetic. He's still on pace for another 50-50 season, 50 plus goals, 50 plus assists. So just to help Lyle out a little bit there. Definitely going to do that. Shane Jackson's been doing pretty well. I mean, he's on his shots on goal, shooting 33% right there. So that's been really good to see. Andrew Q had a big year last year. He's doing great, leading all forwards, I believe, on the team in assists with 9. It'd be great if he could get a few more goals, only 2 goals on 15 shots on goal. But you got Brendan Bomberry's contributing, Seth Oakes, who you started to see a little bit of his growth and progression last year, a younger talent, a lot of potential. He's really fitting in. I'd love to see, and I have a feature that's going to come out with him shortly on the NLLP website on Caleb Benedict, who was the 19th overall pick for the Swarm in this past draft. A kid from Onondaga, where the Thompsons are from. Grew up watching the Thompsons. Now, I don't give away too much of my piece because a lot of it is on that. But, he played for the Orangeville Northmen over the summer, and he was spectacular. And his journey from Junior B to Junior A, now to the NLL, being a first-round pick, we haven't seen him yet, and I would really love to see him go out there. Really nice kid. He's got a really young son who's about I think he's like 18 months or something like that.
Wow.
And he's a young kid himself, Caleb. So I really want him to succeed, and I hope he can, and I hope he can fit in, because what he showed over the summer was really impressive.
Loving. I'm excited for the piece to come out as well. Also, another guy that stands out, Adam Wiedemann, had a great highlight reel goal in transition. Another guy who could step up in this game as well. Tomorrow night.
I don't know if you know this, Mike. Adam Wiedemann, and I've written about this previously for NL.com as well. I don't know if you know this, but he is a relative of the great Jim Veltman, one of the loose ball legends of this league. So he's grown up with some NLL Hall of Famers and has learned a lot from them and really cherishes that history. So just a quick little nugget there on Adam Wiedemann.
We love nuggets and we love Lucy legends. Love it. Vancouver Warriors, Rochester Nighthawks. It is Kurt Malofsky traveling, which I've heard is fun to get to Rochester as well. Logistics are a pain that where. But was Malofsky's win, to me, was it more about the sluggish Swarm or Kurt dialing new things up that quickly? I know we touched on it earlier.
Oh, it was 100% about what the Warriors did. And also, and let me tell you, and I plan on, I don't want to give this away yet because I haven't had this going, but what I will tell you is that there's a guy on his bench that is so revered and respected around the National Lacrosse League, but we don't talk about him enough in the mainstream media, and that's Bob McMahon, his head coach, or his assistant coach. And he's been a head coach in the National Lacrosse League many years ago. He's been on many benches before. Coach Malofsky gives him so much praise and says, I wouldn't have achieved what I've achieved in the National Lacrosse League if it weren't for Bob. And so when you've got a guy like Kurt, and by the way, Bob couldn't be more different than Coach Malofsky. Obviously, Coach Malofsky, with all that energy, with all that passion, also has a very sweet and kind side as well. But, in games and stuff like that, very passionate. Bob is the opposite. Bob is very calm, cool, and collected. Knows how to keep things in perspective, to give new ideas. And that dynamic duo on a coaching bench is invaluable, especially when you've got a lot of veterans who respect and have played for Coach Malofsky and Junior and other places on that Warriors squad, and that they can learn, those younger guys can then learn from all of them. I think it was a huge Warriors win, and I really think that there's going to be more Warriors wins this season than I think any other Warriors season so far.
Oh, that was good. I like that. I like that. That's a little bit of heat from you. That was good. Regarding this game specifically now with the Warriors and Nighthawks tomorrow, 7 Eastern, you've got Rylan Hartley and Riley Hutchcraft. I don't want to call it a dilemma, but I was not expecting Riley Hutchcraft to start game 2, and he did. So what is your do you know who's starting this game? And if not, how are we feeling about does the goalie situation matter for a Warriors team that could use some offense?
Well, it's interesting that you asked because I was on the Nighthawks media call yesterday, and this was a question
Mhm.
that came up. And unfortunately for you, me, and the rest of the audience, Coach Hazen said he had not made a decision yet. Now, that was yesterday at 11 a.m. Eastern, so maybe he has made up his mind now, but he's been incredibly. I had asked him about Hutchcraft's performance. And by the way, let me just say I get to work with Hutchcraft for the NLLPA. He's the NLLPA social media guy. So it's been great getting to know him. And
Wow.
you know, he also has a young boy that, you know, is growing into a lacrosse star, already picking up a stick and already playing. And I think he's only 2 to 3 years old. So amazing to see that happen. But yeah, Hutchcraft has been amazing, and it's so cool to see he got his first win of his NLL career earlier this season. He really looks locked in, and it really helps to feed off each other when you have two goalies who are capable, who are young enough to really still grow and develop. So that's been awesome to see. Really happy, but unfortunately, Mike, I do not have any new information other than what Coach Hazen said yesterday in the media call.
To be fair, he could have already made the decision. He just didn't tell anybody.
That is
That could also be
also
a
very
thing.
true.
Right. What is the plan to stop if you're Kurt Malofsky? Do you know a plan to stop Connor Fields? We had him on the show earlier this week or last week. God, I forgot. I don't know why I forget when that was. But anyways, is that plan impossible, or do you think there's a Kurt Malofsky can do something to limit the Connor Fields freight train?
Well, I think that bigger picture, the way to stop Connor Fields is you let him enjoy and congratulate his family on the birth of their child, which is going him and his partner. They're going to be having that in early January. And so you let him get exhausted from that. You let him get exhausted from a crying baby and the responsibility and the weight of being a parent. And you say, okay, you know, you enjoy that for a little bit. Let me see how I can give you tips to be more involved with parenting. And then you say, and then everything will fall into place. Because the way it looks, other than that, is that, and it's not just offensively speaking, like last year we saw it, and again, maybe I don't think we were even talking enough about it. I know I was tweeting about it, is the loose balls. So not only is he scoring, is he assisting, but he's in the tops of forwards, tops of his team in loose ball production. And so he's being a dog out there and he's attacking nonstop. And it's amazing to see. And, you know, I keep always going back to, and I know he said it to a bunch of people, but like, when Buffalo put him out there to be taken in the expansion draft, he said, "Man, that's a chip on his shoulder." And I think
Wow.
some people were like, "Okay, we'll see what you do." And he has proved everybody wrong. So it is great to see Connor doing that. An incredible guy, incredible talent. But let's also not forget what Ryan Smith is doing, which is he's got 6 goals and 6 assists. Another young talent there. And, you know, one of the questions that was asked, and I know I was one of them that was asking Coach Hazen and the coaching staff was, well, who's going to step up? No Holden Katoni, no Thomas Hogarth, who were, I think, 30% of the team's offense last year. And this is what it was like, you know, what we just talked about with Panther City and other clubs. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be that guy? You know, Ryan Smith was already good last year, but, you know, now he might do better than last year. Then you've got Thomas McConvey, who's still finding his way. You know, Ryan Lanchbury is someone who I know that Coach Hazen talked a lot about. It was great to see what he did in the game that he's played so far. So I think that there's enough pieces there. They seem very confident in what they have. What's been amazing, and I don't want to get the face-offs matter people riled up and all this stuff. I'm just going to tell you data. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
And when you look at a guy like Joe Post, who's been really, really good at the face-off, you know, that helps too. It gives you confidence, you know, that you're going to get more possessions. What you do with those possessions, you know, what I don't want to go into the data, you know, it depends. But winning possessions matters. It does matter. Like, I mean, I don't even care if the data says it doesn't. If you don't have the ball, that is not a good thing. If you have
can't
the
score.
ball, it is a good thing, right? So I think that having him there, and it's great to see him adjusting to his new role. So that's been great. And, I had tweeted this out earlier, and I think you guys had seen it. It was one of these fascinating stats where the Nighthawks, if they win this weekend, they move to 3-0. They are the only team in the National Lacrosse League that will have started the last 2 seasons at 3-0. The Bandits didn't do it. The Seals haven't done it. The Rock haven't done it. Nobody's done it. The Nighthawks, which starting last year, everyone was like, oh, here we go again. It's going to be another rough season. Now they're the team that could do something that nobody else has done in the league. So that's pretty cool.
I love the Rochester propaganda. Love it. Producer Joe wants to know what happened to Connor Farrell.
I don't know that he's on the roster anymore. He's kind of bounced around. He was on, I believe, the San Diego Seals earlier in his career. He's another one of those field guys who's tried to dabble in the box.
Fogos.
Yeah, he's an amazing face-off guy in the field game. But the box game doesn't suit everyone, and it doesn't necessarily fit into their life strategy. And I think that I've come to terms with the fact that they are very different games, and college coaches and NLL coaches and professional field coaches will tell you that the box game it requires a lot more physicality. It's tough. It's like, I know that Paul Rabel likes to call the PLL the tough game. And look, a lot of Canadians play, and it is quite physical. I'm not saying that the PLL isn't a good product. It is a good product, but it is a very different product and a less physical and less physically demanding product in the National Lacrosse League. And that's just because of the style of games. And so if it doesn't work for a player, I'm not going to knock them on that. If they want to play field lacrosse and do that, and they're good at it, let them do that. Same with box. You got to make the decision for yourself. Go out, make money where you want to make money, play the game that you want to play, and enjoy it. Lacrosse. I don't want to say lacrosse is lacrosse, because there are different versions of lacrosse. There might end up being 6 stars, and people will be like, well, that's not a box guy and that's not a field guy. There are different versions of lacrosse. What we need to really be saying is all lacrosse is an acceptable way to play lacrosse.
Amen. Mic drop. Adam Levy style. So did you see this is the last thing I'm going to get to here is the Wings. You see what they released? It's a mouthful of an acronym.
Oh, no, I didn't.
The Greater Philadelphia College Box Lacrosse League. So, I thought that's a great way to get those players acclimated to it.
I did see that. And, it's amazing. And you got guys like Blaze Reardon and the amount of work that he puts in. And also, it's so sad that he is out. I saw him at the Wings Firewolves game in Sling. And, he seemed in good spirits. And so did Holden Katoni. Who was looking, you should have covered him on Fresh Fits, because he looked pretty good after that Albany, or before the Albany game. But yeah, Blaze has been doing so much for the growth of the game, particularly in the growth of box lacrosse in North America. You've got guys like Casey Powell introducing speed lacrosse and other things like that. Box is growing in the U.S., and U.S. lacrosse and the NLL are doing great things to make that happen. Just exposing, having exposure to more versions of lacrosse, and then going back to what I just said, letting them choose, letting them figure out what they like, what they don't like. But just having more availability, there's nothing negative about that at all. It's incredible to see what's happening across North America. US Boxla is doing incredible things for the growth of lacrosse. And it's amazing. It's great to see that initiative, and it's great to see it in an area where there is a prominent, notable player who can contribute to that initiative. So I'm really excited about that.
Love that you said US Boxla, because GPC BLL Champions is going to be a mouthful. We're going to have to find a way to say that.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll figure it out. Adam Levy, you are awesome. You are generous with your time. Looking forward to your next stuff that comes out. You told me before that you're doing a podcast today, so you want to plug that before you head out? Yeah,
and I'm like, how generous of you that I'm the guest on your show, and you're essentially allowing me to roast you at the end of the program. Yeah, I do the Lacrosse Matrix podcast, something that I guess you have not heard of. It's episode 60. Episode 63 is coming out within the next 30 minutes. It's on head coach Mike Hazen, who is hoping to get his 100th head coaching win this weekend against the Warriors. And if he does, he'll only be the 6th head coach in NLL history in the 37 years of this league to reach that mark. If he wins this weekend, it'll be in his 207th game. He's an incredible postseason head coach. I did a Lacrosse Matrix podcast poll of the week, which I do every week, and asked where does he rank all time in head coaches, and the majority of voters, although it was very close and very spread out, said he was between 4th and 6th all time. And a lot of that is swayed by his 3 consecutive championships with the Nighthawks, 2012, 13, and 14, which I will also note the 2012 championship win. Mike, you'll like this. The team had a 7-9 regular season record and still made the playoffs and then still won the championship. So if you're the Colorado Mammoth and you lose tonight, look back at that Nighthawks team and say, there's hope. There is hope that something can happen. Sure, the unified standings don't help, because the reason the Nighthawks got in was because the Rock were 9-7 that year, and they were in a 3-way tie, the Nighthawks, with the Bandits and the Wings at 7-9. That obviously can't happen anymore, but still, don't lose hope. If your team is not doing what it should be in the beginning of the season, there is so much time. Lacrosse Matrix Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
All kind of propaganda on this show, including the old colors of the Rochester Nighthawks, because what they have now is filthy. I'm going to let you go, sir. This has been Adam Levy Friday. Thank you so much, sir. You've been awesome, and I said thank you again, but I'll say it. There you go.
Happy holidays to you, Mike, and to producer Joe. I hope you guys have a good long weekend. Only 3 games of lacrosse, but they should be good ones. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll talk to you next Friday, and maybe I'll even have a suggested New Year's resolution for you.
Oh, hopefully it's another coupon. All right, we'll see you around. Adam Levy, everybody. When we come back, Hutton Jackson's been patiently waiting on myself and Adam Levy talk. It's time to get to the betting side of things. So let's make some mucho dinero, if you will. We'll be right back to Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet is proud to welcome in Hutton Jackson. Dare I say, Alexa Stream, it's been a while by Stained. How you been, Hutton?
I've been good, yeah. Appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to talking some NLL games this weekend.
Absolutely. We got some, we got 3 of them, but I think it's more than enough to get into and make some money off of it, if you agree.
Yeah, I agree. It's not my favorite slate, It's, a little harder when there's only 3 games, but I do have some picks and one for each game. So should find some angles still.
Love it. All right, Toronto Rock, Panther City, Fort Worth, Texas. I'm going to ask you one of the questions I pretty much asked Adam. Does travel matter here if you're a bettor?
I don't really handicap travel into this just because a lot of the players are traveling from different locations. I know Panther City does have some players that live locally, but to me, it's not like the other sports where they're traveling as a team, usually, the day or two prior. This time, like a lot of people are flying into different locations. So I really don't see travel impact. If there definitely is probably a little bit of an impact, per player, but to me, it's not enough that you're going to factor into a handicap when you're betting these games. And same with home field advantage, unless you're playing in Colorado or Buffalo, I don't think home field advantage really plays a huge part in my handicapping as well.
Well, that's one part I got right. I guess the travel I didn't get right, but I did call it Colorado and Buffalo is the hardest place to play. That's good. Toronto is minus 230 on the money line and 2.5, depending on where you get it. Are they that much better on the road without Tom Schreiber? What do you think?
I think they are. I just don't think there's an edge there for a bettor. So like the line is where I think it probably should be. I was hoping that more places would get 1.5. You can get a 1.5 at one book out there, but then the juice is minus 144, and I don't recommend people laying that juice to bet the minus 1.5 there. So to me, it's a pass. You could probably talk yourself into betting the Rock. I do think they're their team. I do think they win. I just think there's better ways to maybe play this game. The total is interesting too. 22.5 is fairly low. Usually 21.5 is usually like the floor. But I think these defenses are good, and I think this total is right on the money as well. So while I think it could be low scoring, just again not enough into the edge there on the total to really do that.
Every time I picked a score, I was like, 22 is going to hit 23, and I was screwed when they said it was 22.5. In this game, first ever meeting. Does that play a part for a handicapper or even a bettor or odds maker?
Yeah, it definitely does for me personally. It's nice to go back and look at, past performances against teams. I think it matters less though, unless it's in season. Like we're going to talk about the Georgia Colorado game. And I think, it's very important to look at the last game that they played, which was 2 weeks ago. And even if, let's say they were playing again, 3 months from now, I still think there's some validity to looking at earlier results. But when you start to go back seasons, that's when it kind of gets tricky because there's so much roster turnover. So while it's, unfortunate that we don't have a game to kind of go off of, there's other ways to kind of look at, common opponents, what teams are good at. So it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging, but I don't think it's as challenging as it might, be for maybe other sports.
I want to save your Hutton's best picks for the last part, but how do you see this game playing out without giving too much away?
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of talk about it, game by game since they're all kind of like on the same level. But I think it's going to be a rock fight. I think it's going to be low scoring. No pun intended with the rock fight. But I just think Nick DeMude's been playing really, really well. I wasn't super impressed with Panther City against Vancouver. And then watching them play Vegas as well, I thought, I haven't been high on Vegas either, but, I didn't think they looked that great in that game either. They almost had the game wrapped up. So, you are kind of getting, I think, a little bit of an inflation on the Rock side because the Rock did blow out the Wings. And then you have Panther City losing to, arguably one of the worser teams in the league, despite almost winning. So if they were 2-0 entering this game, we might have gotten the price that we wanted to bet the Rock. But I think to me, it's going to be low scoring. I don't think either team's going to really force transition too much. I think Panther City is going to prioritize slowing down the Toronto transition attack. So I think you're going to see a lot of, 5-on-5 opportunities. And I don't expect this to be that high scoring. And then you look at the goaltender matchup, Nick DeMude, I talked about how he's been playing really, really well. And the defense in front of him has been, playing well as well. I read something on Lax Metrics that I believe they're giving up the fewest one-on-ones to a goaltender so far this season. So that's big, if your goalie doesn't have to face those one-on-ones so often. Like we're going to talk about the Swarm last week. I think we can all agree Brett Dobson's a really great goalie, but they were just leaving him, on an island too much last week.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, you go Nick Rose in cage for the Rock. I think, he's going to bring his A game like he always does. So I expect a low scoring, and that's also why I'm hesitant to, lay 2.5 with the Rock. But I do think the Rock will eventually pull away, maybe win, this by 3 or 4 goals. I just, it's not enough of an edge for me to bet it.
Right, they win by 2, and then it's like, come on. I love it. But the Nick on Nick crime in goal would be awesome to see, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So Georgia Swarm, Colorado Mammoth, you already touched on a little bit here. Does 16 goals 2 weeks ago matter in Duluth to you? I know there's no Dylan Ward again from what we're hearing. In Georgia, does it matter to you that they scored 16 and could affect your betting total here?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is more my pick for this game is going to be Swarm money line. And honestly, I'm kind of waiting to see what the status of Dylan Ward is. I like the Swarm money line if Dylan Ward plays still, just because of their other injuries that I'll list off. But if Dylan Ward is out, then you can find the Swarm are actually underdogs on most of these sports books. It's more of a pick 'em on the money line, where the they have to make someone an underdog. They have to make someone a 1.5 point underdog. So you get, the Swarm plus 1.5, but you have to lay minus 160 at that point. Just bet the money line if you like them that much. That's what I always recommend to people. So, but you can get them at minus 1.5 at plus 115 at a sports book. So I would wait to see what happens with, Dylan Ward. And if he is ruled out, that's when maybe I would add to my money line position as well. But I think the Swarm will win this one. I watched their Vancouver game, and that game was a lot closer than the score kind of indicated. They played really, really bad on defense. And it was almost uncharacteristically bad. They didn't have Jeff Henrik, who I think, having him back will also be big. He was a kind of a menace to the Mammoth in their first game. And on the Mammoth side, could be without Dylan Ward. Robinson's questionable. I think he'll probably play. Caputo's doubtful, so I doubt he plays. And then you mentioned, we're talking Adam Levy, which is Connor Kelly being on the holdout list. And I think that's big because he had quite a couple goals for the Mammoth and kind of gave him a spark against the Swarm team last time. So him being out of the lineup, I just don't know where they're going to get a lot of their production from. So, again, I'm not really touching the total. I was kind of ready to play this total, play the under if it was, 23.5, 24.5. But at 23.5, I think at most books, even 22.5 at some books, it's just not enough. I wanted that 24.5. So, if you like the under, it's kind of a lean for me, but I think the better play is to just play the Swarm in a bounce back spot. I think we can expect a better game from Lau. Had 8 turnovers last week. And it's the defense, I think, that really let them down. Credit to Vancouver. We're getting to them a little bit too. They played really, really well, but the Swarm defense just had a ton of miscommunication breakdowns that led to, Dobson played pretty well still, but just led to some one-on-one chances for Vancouver, and they just buried them. So I'm liking the Swarm in this one. That's my best bet for this one.
That was mine too. The minus 115 is just too greasy for me not to grab onto,
Yeah, it's weird that the market's pricing them as an underdog despite, beating the Mammoth 2 weeks ago. And I don't know how much the sports books pay attention to injury news. I know they probably do a little bit, but to me it's a little bit questionable why they would set a similar line to what we had 2 weeks ago when I thought that was a misprice. And if you tailed me then, you cashed in. So, yeah, we'll see what happens to this one. But, I'm back on the Swarm. I didn't think I would be. I thought I'd be maybe looking at angles to play the Mammoth or, again, play the total. But if you're going to set the same line and, I think the Mammoth are now in a worse spot than they were 2 weeks ago, then I'm going to take it again.
You hear that, guys? Fix yourselves. Improve yourself, but not for our sake. For your own sake.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, don't fix it. I like finding the edges.
So that's your job, is to make sure that they you find the holes. Warriors and Nighthawks, we appreciate Hutton Jackson from Action Network and Pro Lacrosse Talk for joining us here. This game's tomorrow, so you can't get I know you're not a parlay guy, but it would be nice if all 3 games were tonight. But did Vancouver, to you, show that they beat a good team, or they beat a sluggish team? I know you kind of answered that earlier.
Yeah, no, I loved what I saw from Vancouver, and then I went back and rewatched the Panther City Vancouver game as well to prep for this one, and that game was also closer than the final score indicated too. So I'm really high on this Vancouver team. I was coming into the season, just based on the coaching change, the free agents they brought in, some guys, young guys that, were on the team last year are stepping up, Jalen Beatis, Martell, like those guys, are the future. And it's nice to see them kind of come into their own this season. Not that they didn't play well last year, but they're playing at another level this year. And I think that's a testament to, Coach Molesky and his staff. But this defense is very, very aggressive. So this is another one where I wish the total was 23.5 or 22.5, which I doubted we were going to get a 22.5, but I was holding on to hope someone would post a 23.5 because I think we're going to see a lot of goals in this one. I still might play over 24.5. I'm just debating whether, but I'm going to be invested on Vancouver just because when I was looking at this game ahead, I was like, all right, if this game is closer to a pick 'em, then I'll probably stay off. But you can get them at plus 170 out there on the money line. They're 2.5-point underdogs at most places, 1.5 at some places still, but you can get it for plus money. So for this one, I recommend people bet them Vancouver plus 1.5 at, I think, plus 115, and then bet them on the money line a little bit too. You can maybe do a half unit on the money line at plus 170 because I think they're live to win this game outright. It's nice to have that little, extra goal of insurance, and you don't have to lay, you're getting plus money for it. So it's not like you're laying a ton of juice to get that. And they're playing a Rochester team that is 2-0, but has had to come back in games.
Yep.
Their offense actually hasn't been, as sustainable. Probably, I was reading again on Lax Metrics how their offense hasn't been generating a lot of chances. They've been cashing in on those chances, and I think it's a testament to a good side for Rochester is they've been winning a lot of ground balls. So you watch that game against Sask. Maybe they weren't the first ones weren't falling. They were getting the ground balls, getting second or third chances and burying those. So that's definitely, one of their strengths. But you look at Vancouver, they play aggressive on defense. They're also good on the loose balls. I think they're kind of neutralize that a little bit. So I think it's going to come down to who can really win the transition battle. But I think both teams have shown that, they can play good transition defense. And so it'll be interesting to see who breaks, which team breaks down first. But based on the price, I'm on Vancouver here. It's more of that, I feel like this is more of a coin flip than the books are pricing it. So if you're going to give me plus 170 odds to bet, Vancouver to potentially win, that's the side to play. That's, the angle there. So that's my pick for this one.
I love that 1,000%. I'm going to get to that in just a moment as well. So we just talked about the Swarm and Mammoth game. I have moles around the league. I was just told to help you sway your pick here with the Swarm and Mammoth. This is insane to me. I was just told this. Connor Kelly is in the lineup tonight. This has not been updated on the NLL website yet. Connor Kelly's in the lineup, and it sounds like Dylan Ward will start too. Does that affect you at all?
Yeah, it does actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so it will definitely not, going to take the minus 1.5. I still think there's value on the Swarm. But Connor Kelly was the big one because I feel like this offense could struggle. I'm curious to Robinson's status. To me, it's still Swarm. So I have to, still think about it if it's going to be official play or just a lean for me. But I think the Swarm offense can still give Colorado some trouble. And sure, Ward's coming back. Is he going to be, 100%? We've seen him get off to a little bit of slow starts. We know what he can be, but both the PLL and NLL, we've seen him kind of get off to some slow starts after dealing with, injuries, being banged up from previous seasons. So to me, I still like the Swarm and lean the Swarm in this one, but definitely can toss out that other scenario I was mentioning about the laying the minus 1.5 with the Swarm. Don't do that, and I still wouldn't bet the plus 1.5. It's for me, it's still money line or nothing, but I don't know. I think you're still getting an undervalued Swarm team based on their performance last week against Vancouver. But I just don't see them replicating that very poor defensive performance. I mean, some of the goals they gave up were terrible. They're so bad that it was almost like this is very uncharacteristic. They're going to button it up during this week and get right against the Mammoth. So still lean Swarm. I'll still make that official play, but or I'll still give that out on here. I don't know if it'll be official play, but definitely, follow me along in the action app to see what I end up deciding. But yeah, to me, it's still a Swarm. I said if Ward was in cage, I still like them. Connor Kelly, that's another bonus for them. But they beat them 16-10 the last game too. So we'll see.
Yeah. That was with Connor Kelly as well. I love that. I love that you could adjust on the air here because that was nice to hear that.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it's tough sometimes
Yeah.
to find some info on, and I knew that Ward was questionable and figured there was a good chance he was playing, but not knowing Kelly's status it's good to know.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's been like it's the fourth week now, so it was good that Warriors is back now. Back to the Warriors and Nighthawks game. You almost convinced me to take the Warriors money line because I was going to ask you, like, the Nighthawks to cover is my 1.5 on DraftKings. I mean, I know that like you don't like to name the books here, but DraftKings is -145, which blew my mind. I don't usually see that thing like that to happen like that.
Yeah, well, I it's just they're gonna always like if they're a heavy, favorite, they're gonna juice that.
True.
But yeah, that's why it's like I think they're overvaluing Rochester's 2-0 start, which is odd because they were very low on them the past 2 weeks. We bet Rochester to beat Saskatchewan and they won that, and then I think I bet Rochester both weeks actually, to be honest. So like. That's I think the weird thing is that they were kind of undervaluing them the first 2 weeks, and now it's like all of a sudden they're 2-0. They're like the team they were last year, but undervaluing the Warriors still. So yeah, I mean I would definitely sprinkle a little bit on the money line. I think the Warriors are alive, but if not, you're getting plus money to get the plus 1.5. For a potential 1-goal game, that makes a lot of sense too.
That's why he's smart and I'm not. I do want to ask you because. One last thing I'll get to here is the Rush. We mentioned them earlier. They looked really good against Vegas. But I noticed, too, because you made a tweet about this or a post, whatever you want to call it, that they were plus 40 to 1. And I was like, 15-team league. Vegas is 42. I didn't think the Rush were that bad. How has your early money line bets for the season looked in terms of like your
futures?
Futures. That's the word.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good portfolio. I saw
that.
Yeah, I don't know how much I've shared publicly yet, but like
right.
There's just so many options on sports books wise. Thankfully, in New Jersey that you can get prices like that. I mean, Sask was, I'm not even kidding, like probably plus 1,600 on almost every other book, and there's a 40 to 1 out there, and they quickly moved to 35 to 1, but. That's where having multiple books is very key for playing the futures market. I don't recommend actually doing like a portfolio like I do unless you have access to like 4 or 5 books because, I think I have futures on, let's see, how many teams?
Your Action Network, the Action app showed me a lot.
Yeah, so shows you all of them then. So it's like 8 or 9 teams that I have positions on. 7 of those 9, I would win money if they won the championship tomorrow on. So that's like there's ways to like play it like almost like the stock market, buying the ups and downs and buying the dips and stuff. We kind of bought the dip a little bit with Buffalo, and I thought they might lose to the Seals, so I was waiting a little bit. Still some good prices on Buffalo out there too. So Toronto was the big one at the beginning of the season. They were plus 850. So I got in on them. Now 750, I think, out as long as that somewhere. It's shortest like 550, but that's a disparity you get, with some of these sports books. So that's why it's just important to shop. They price it differently, and there's a lot more variety than say the NFL, where a team might be 10 to 1 on one book and then maybe 11 to 1 at most on another, but there's not that big of a disparity between a 40 to 1 and a 16 to 1. So definitely, make sure you line shop. I don't really have a future right now. I would tell people like go out and bet. I mean, I would probably buy stock on the Rock. Is the one team. I don't think you can go wrong with betting the Rock, Seals, or Bandits right now, because even if they do kind of fizzle during the middle of the season or, maybe don't get off to the best start, they're not going to be that long of odds. And then another one is the Firewolves. I think they're as long as 18 to 1 now, and that's dropping drastically. I didn't get in early in the season, which I wish I had. They're probably like 35 to 1. So I was still doubting them until last week. Going into Philadelphia, I was like, all right, now's the time to bet them in a game. And then I bet them, on the futures odds as well. But they're a team that I would probably grab too, because they look like the real deal, and their odds aren't going to get much longer than what they are now. So, they're not going to get in the Rush or they're not going to get into the Rock or Seals or Buffalo territory just yet. But they're going to be closer to that very soon, rather than going back up to the 25 to 30 to 1 like they were before. You're not going to get that anymore.
The Doug Jameson effect, against the Philadelphia Wings. I know Wings were had some injuries, but it's like when your team is scoring and then you have a goalie that just all of a sudden in the third quarter just says no, not today. That's so good for that young team. It's really impressive what they're doing over there in Albany.
No, absolutely. And the rookies, I mean, Alex Simmons is looking like he's running away with the Rookie of the Year already.
MVP for your rookie.
I know, true, very true. So we don't have those odds, unfortunately. But honestly, I'm kind of glad, because I probably wouldn't have known how to play it. And by now, Alex Simmons is probably going to be he'd still probably be plus odds, but we'd probably be looking at like a very low, like plus 150 and plus 200 like range that, at that point the value's drying up. So that can be, awards market can get really interesting too.
Any other bets you want to plug here, or anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
Yeah, I won't go too detailed, but just because I don't have a side or a total in the Toronto Panther City, I am looking to play. I'm looking to play Jonathan Donville under 4.5 points. So under 4.5 out there, bet 365. I think Cool Bet, if you're in Canada, has 5.5. So definitely bet the 5.5 if you have access to it. But I think the Rock are gonna, I mentioned I think it's gonna be low scoring. I think the Rock are gonna give them a handful, and even though he's their best player on the team, I just think it's gonna be a tough out for him. So I think the value's there. He's only gone. Let me see. He's gone under this mark in 11 of 20 games. So at minus 105, it was plus 110. Now it's minus 105. You're still, beating the juice. Whereas once you get into the minus 120, minus 125 range, that's when it's going to stop to be, there's not going to be as positive of a EV play, but I still like it, right now at minus 105.
You got to beat the juice, not squeeze the juice. You heard it there from Hutton Jackson.
Yes.
Hutton, I appreciate you, man. For giving us your time today. Went longer than we expected, but that's okay. We're trying to get people the best lines, and we wish you the best. We wish you the best of luck in your betting, and you, sir, will definitely have you on again. We got some more stuff planned up for you anyways.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Absolutely. Hutton Jackson, everybody, and that pretty much ends Adam Levy Fridays for now, but we're not done yet, because when I come back, we're going to wrap it up with Mike and producer Joe's picks, including our best bet. And now I feel kind of stupid after listening to Hutton. That's okay. I got my own takes, right? Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will wrap up next.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZ and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're watching the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. This is Daily Dive. I'm your host, Michael Carpenter, as per usual, as always. Wow. It is it is Friday, December 22nd, 2023, and it is 2:10 p.m. here on the East Coast in Georgia, home of the 1-1 Georgia Swarm. We wish Lyle Thompson and the boys the best in Colorado with Connor Kelly and possibly Dylan Ward tonight, as you heard first here on Daily Dive, because we're awesome and we break news. I don't even deserve to do that, but I do it anyways. Okay. Thank you, Moles. I want to get to this because I think you guys need to understand what we do here on Daily Dive. And we give tickets out, okay? Well, we don't give them out, but you understand it. You're going to scan this QR code right now. Just go ahead and do it. Might as well. I'm not going to let you go until you do anyways. This takes you to NLL tickets, and you're going to want it. You're going to use it. You're going to love it. It's the most affordable prices for the NLL among other leagues. Tickets.21sports.com has it all, but this takes you to the NLL category. We want to thank 21 Sports so much for having us on air and also as a ticket broker. So congrats to them. And tickets.21sports.com. Again, you're gonna scan it, because the point is, if you don't, I'm just gonna leave it sitting here. So scan it if you're on your laptop or your TV. If you're on the TV, that'd be great, because I'm on the big screen. I look cute. But there it is. You want tickets to the next game. You definitely do. I know you do. You're still here. You're still watching because you want to see what our picks are and our best bets are. So I'm not going to let you go anywhere. Yes, I will let you go somewhere. Okay. That's our good plug there of the day. Tickets.12, the letter OZsports.com, a match made in ticket broking heaven. I don't even know a catch line for that, but I'm sure I'll think of one. It's time for Mike and producer Joe's picks. Are you ready for this? I was buying time there for a moment. My bad. So there it is. There's producer Joe. Boo! Boo! So Daddy Joe is 11-5. He's leading me by 2 games. He's got the Rock to win 15-7. The Swarm, well, we might have to adjust the Swarm and Mammoth game, because that's going all over the place now. It's 13-10 right now. Rochester to defeat the Warriors 15-8. And his best bet is Rochester to cover 1.5 against Vancouver. I do wonder if producer Joe is reconsidering after Hutton Jackson's analysis. So we'll see. Maybe he can let us know on the ticker. There's my picks. Yay! I'm 9-7. Unfortunately, I picked all the same teams. Toronto defeat Panther City 13-9. Georgia defeat Colorado 11-9. Rochester defeat Vancouver 14-10. My best bet is the under 23.5 in the Georgia-Colorado game, and that is even with Connor Kelly in that game. I will say this, though. I'm strongly considering the Mammoth to win that game. I'm going to go against everything that Hutton Jackson and Adam Levy just said. And this might be one of those coupon things where I'm totally going to have that mailed to me. That would be great. Regardless, I'm leaning Mammoth. I almost am. So if you see the graphic later on, it's different. Just know that's why. Just know I'm sorry and I failed you all. And just know, okay, this is fun. There's a trend going around the NLL is doing that, well, some teams are doing, like the Saskatchewan Rush did it. And I went to go try it out, and I failed miserably because it wouldn't even load. But Pop Funko, you can create your own little character. Come on, man. Producer Joe is probably not even expecting this. The boys are being tonight, is what producer Joe says. Let's go, Georgia 11 to. There, he's 11-5. The boys are being tonight. Where are we being, Joe? I know what you're trying to say, but you're not saying it right. There's me as a Pop Funko of like the pre-made stuff you can put on there. I did low-key try to do the buzzing. Oh, the boys are buzzing tonight. Okay, I thought it was betting. Regardless, that was me as a Pop Funko with their generic pre-made stuff they give you. I could actually buy that for like $30. I'm good. I wanted to like create the AI version of me and wearing a white NLL hoodie, and the thing took forever to generate the new Microsoft AI thing. And that's why I don't use Microsoft Edge. Sorry if Microsoft was considering promoting us. No, Bill Gates, I don't want your monies. Go away. You can keep watching the show, though. I'm going to end the Instagram live video. Hopefully, it won't end the actual show. So if you were watching on Instagram, we appreciate you. But we are still live on a regular show, which is going on 12 Ounce Sports. So to see every wrap up of the show, still tune in to 12 Ounce Sports. But this show's amazing. For everyone that watches this show, for no reason besides just getting lacrosse entertainment, because we are devoid of it in this space, we thank you. You're the bread, you're the butter. You are the boys are buzzing. I don't even know what I was going to say there. Forget it. You're the toast. I forget. God, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. For our amazing guests like Hutton Jackson and Adam Levy and others that came on all week and previous weeks and next weeks to come, thank you for putting up with my questions, my hard-hitting questions. For everyone that I just got some message from. I'm sorry, I just screwed up there. But anyways, for our moles that gave us the information that Connor Kelly's playing tonight and Dylan Ward probably will play, thank you. For producer Joe, the best daddy in producing history, thank you for being who you are. I'm your host, Michael Carvalho, saying have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. And we will actually see you Monday, like I said before. You might have a tree up. I won't have a tree up, but you guys might. See them on Monday, same time, same place, 12 Ounce Sports, and our Instagram. Adios. This show stinks. Let me Pat McAfee might copyright that actually.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.